This is the brother Ba'ar from the GMS Salt, GMS West Palm Camp. And first of all, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'Hashem, Rakat, Kwadash. I'd like to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. I'd like to give salutations to the Akim, preaching the gospel across the four corners of the earth, prophesying in truth and sincerity. Shalom, Akim. Isaiah 51, verse 20. Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets as a wild bull in a net. They are full of fury. They are full of the fury of the Lord, the rebuke of thy power. Con. Because Jacob, we went out of the way of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. We went out of the way of the Most High. We stopped following the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Okay? But this was all a part of the Most High's judgment to us, because, when we disobeyed his law, statutes, and commandments, one of the curses was that we were going to be discontinued from our heritage. Okay? We were going to be scattered across the four corners of the earth. We were going to lose the knowledge of who we are. And he was going to give us into our enemies. Okay? And with all of these things happening, we lost who we were, who we are. Okay? So a lot of men carry on in this world. A lot of the seed of Jacob carry on in this world. And they walk around not knowing who they are. They walk around thinking that they are Americans, or African American, or wherever they reside. They grab hold to that culture and to that name, and they try to give themselves an identity according to where they come from. And that's not true. That's not who you are. It's not who they are. Okay? The scriptures say thy sons have fainted. And they fainted because they don't know who they are. Okay? They don't know their heritage. Their heritage has been taken away. They're not taught the law, statutes, and commandments. And so they're fainted, which means they're pretty much dead out there on these streets. Okay? Trying to figure things out. Okay? Taking the law into their own hands. Okay? They lie at the head of all the streets as a wild bull in a net. Con. Most brothers, most of Jake were raised in the lower parts of our cities, the hood. Okay? So this is a well-known thing about Jacob. And no other nation can say that they do this. And this is prophesied in the scripture that Jake was going to be doing these things in his time. This is a characteristic of Jacob. Okay? The Most High knows his people to the fullest, inside and out. And it's written. These so-called Amalekites, they're not, these so-called Jews, the Amalekites, they're not on the corner of all these streets. Okay? They own banks. They're in the high-rises of the cities. They're in the best places in the world. Even their so-called homes, whatever they call those welfare homes, they're top notch. They're not low level like the houses that Jake is stuffed in all the hoods. Okay? It says they lie at the head of all the streets as a wild bull in a net. We all know when you're driving down any city or any state, anywhere that you go, there's the high-end areas and then there's the hoods. There is a transition between the downtown areas, the high-end areas, going into the hood. The noticeable difference is that you'll start to see more Jakes hanging out on the corner of the streets doing nothing because they fainted. Most of them have gave up on life. Most of them, have been to jail, and they just have no direction. Okay? They are full of the fury of the Lord. Okay? The rebuke of thy power. Okay? They're a wild bull in the net because they have so much their spirit, a lot of Jake have a warrior spirit in them. Okay, but they're not able to identify that spirit. They're not able to give that spirit direction because we're in captivity. We're in land, and we're in a system that is not ours. Okay, because those men that's on the streets full of fury, those most likely would be the men, would be our soldiers, our warriors. Okay, they would be the men that would go out to battle. Okay, because the Most High created those men. The Most High created mighty men. Okay, for a reason, for His purpose. Okay, to go out into war, you know. But a lot of those men, a lot of Jake, actually, all of Jake, the Most High used Jacob because we are His weapons of war. Okay, I believe all the firstborn sons, I believe, from every family above, what was it? I forgot what age it was. But most of the men in Jacob are supposed to be trained for war. Okay, because we have to defend our people. Okay, the Most High didn't and that's peculiar. That's a real peculiar thing to do about this people, about our people. Okay, all of our men are trained for war. Well, should be trained for war. Okay, they are full of the fury of the Lord. Okay, the rebuke of thy power. Okay, being out on the highway, being out on these streets, in the head of the streets, they're full of the fury. But then also they're full of the rebuke of thy power. Okay, we're out there. The brothers are out there having no direction and having all this fury, and they're aiming it towards each other. Okay, they're crabs in a barrel trying to make it out, and nobody ever makes it out. Okay, and you know the term making it out, it's not what people tell you about in the world. Making it out means the mentality. Okay, making it out is your way of thinking, and a lot of those brothers don't have the opportunity to make it out. You know, because they're having an identity crisis. Okay, those men, they don't know who they are, and when you don't know who you are, you're subject to anything. Okay, you're subject to lies. Okay, all right, and you'll believe those lies because you don't know who you are. You'll take in any lie. Oh, I'm African American. Oh, I'm black. Oh, I'm a thug. I'm a nigga. My daddy was a thug. I'm a thug. You know, and that's the only heritage that they have. Okay. Therefore, hear now this thou, afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. Okay, our people are afflicted. Okay, when they go to prison, they lose a lot of opportunities to better themselves in this society. Okay, they go to prison, and most of them have to work for 10 cents, 15 cents an hour, and the prices in prison are doubled. Okay, for the simple amenities that we have here outside. Okay, like deodorant, shirts, socks, underwears, and things like that. Okay, hear now this thou afflicted and drunken. Okay, we're afflicted. Okay, we're impoverished. We're in the lower ends of the hood of the cities. Okay, we don't have the same opportunities. We don't have the same outlets. Okay, especially in the neighborhood that I'm raised in. I remember one time when they got rid of our basketball courts. Okay, it was like for us a time span of 3 years we didn't have basketball courts, and that was the worst time ever in our neighborhood. Because the young men had nothing to do. They were full of fury. They didn't have a way, an outlet to release some of that aggression. Okay? Our libraries, you know, a lot of men gave up on the libraries. A lot of the so-called leaders, they've given up. Okay, they've given up on the men, the young men on the corners of the streets. Okay, because they fear them. Okay, because what the scriptures say, children shall be your oppressors. You know, so the elders, they gave up on the men, on the young men. Okay, there's no leadership. Okay, but the one thing I believe at that time, when I was in the street, if not, I don't want to say that. Let me take it back. Let me say this. Having an identity, knowing who you are, gives you a sense of self-pride. Okay? It's a reminder. Okay? It's a reminder of where you came from. Okay? It's a reminder of your culture. And when you don't have those things, you're susceptible to any kind of ideologies, any kind of doctrine. Okay, we're the walking dead. Okay, and drunken. What are they drunken off of? They're drunken off of this hip hop. They're drunken off of these movies, these South Central movies, these Don't Menace to Society. Okay, Dead Presidents, Scarface. You know, these guys, they're drunken. They want to emulate a lot of those things. But those things were pushed out by Esau and Amalek, who runs Hollywood, who keeps us drunk. Okay? And we look at these movies and we look at this music as inspiration. Okay? Thinking that this is what we're supposed to be. Okay? But that's those are lies. That's that wine. Okay? That our enemies are forcing down our throats to drink. Okay? Also, this is Isaiah 42, verse 22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. Okay? So this is a people robbed and spoiled. Okay? You know, I hate when these Edomites look at us with such disdain. Okay? Looking at us, looking at us like they're better than us. You know, you're weak. These Edomites are a weak people. All these other nations, they're weak. Okay? They've taken everything from us. They've taken the northern tribes. They came into their home, taken everything. Okay? They came and got us. They took everything from us. Right? And so basically, this is it's not fair. In a way. I don't want to say it's not fair as far as our judgment, because the judgment is fair. We did go off. But how are you so prideful to take everything from a people and then wonder why they're such in a low position? Okay? You had everything. You took all our substance, plus the substance that you took from the brothers in Europe. Okay? You took in that substance. Then you came and took our substance. You took the northern tribe substance. And then trying to figure out and wonder why we still broke to this day. Because we were robbed and spoiled. Okay? And mocking us. You know, saying, oh, we gave you jobs. We gave you Social Security. We gave you welfare. What that mean? Okay? You guys are years ahead of us. Okay? And they are all of them snared in holes. And they are hid in prison houses. Okay? Because they are wild bulls on the heads of these streets, on the corners of these streets. Okay? They're a system. Okay? The snare is laid before them. Okay? So when they express themselves in their fury, they get caught in the snare and they go to these prisons. Okay? And for a lot of these brothers, some of the crimes aren't really that heavy. But Esau doesn't see it that way. It's a chance for him to make money off of you, to profit off of you, to put you in these prison houses. Okay? To keep you in there. And for a lot of brothers, if you just go to prison, if you just go to jail one time, that's over. It's over with. Okay? At least that's how a lot of brothers feel. And they're not given guidance and telling them, hey, man, you go to prison, you go to jail, you know, it's okay. You have a second chance. You know, there's programs out there for you to get a job. Okay? A pretty decent job. But our leaders, our so-called community leaders, aren't telling us these things. Okay? We're not hearing these things being advertised on the radio stations. You know, when these brothers listen to the radio stations, all they hear is nothing but garbage and commercials. Okay? These so-called leaders are supposed to help these brothers out, but they're not. Because that's intentional. Esau wants us being trapped in these snares. Okay? These police officers will pull up on you, okay, and ask you for your ID. And in a lot of ways, if you don't have your ID, they have the right to take you in because you don't have an identification card. That's why in the street, it's important that a lot of brothers keep their ID on them. Because if you don't have your ID, they're going to take you down to the station. And if you have any warrants or anything of that such, they're going to keep you. Okay? And it could be warrants that you don't even know about, simple warrants. Okay? They are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey and none delivereth. Okay? A lot of brothers, they get locked up and they go to prison for things for being something that's truly not them. Okay? You know, they lose an opportunity to live decently on this side because they made a mistake as a young man. But Esau don't care about that. Okay? And a lot of brothers, that changes a lot of brothers at the head of these streets. That makes them into a different person because now they fainted. Okay? They don't have an identity. They don't have a culture. They're not taught about the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. They don't have a reference to correcting themselves. Okay? Where the reference that they have is go to college. Go to school. You know, go to work. But they can't go to work. Okay? You know, it's a mess up. We live in this messed up society. And there's no way out. Okay? Everybody understands, you know, when you're in these streets, it's either you're dead or in jail. Okay? And you can go to jail for the smallest thing, and you can end up being lost in the system. You can end up, and that's why it's important for, if you have a family member in prison, communicate with them. Speak with them. Because you don't know what they're going through. Okay? When you don't send money to the brothers in prison, they end up doing a lot of things to keep them there longer. That's hell. Okay? And that changes them. They might not necessarily be a vicious person, a malicious person. But being in that kind of environment changes them. And they don't have, you know, they feel like they don't have any mercy. Okay? For a spoil, and none saith restore. Okay? I wanted to drop down to verse 25. It says, therefore he hath poured upon him the fury of his anger, and the strength of battle, and it hath set him on fire round about. Yet he knew not, and it burned him, yet he laid it not to heart. Okay? A lot of Jake, not just on the corner of the streets, but just in general around the world, are going through these curses, are going through these issues and these problems. Finances, child support, being caught up in these streets. They don't know that this is a judgment. The Most High is doing that to them because they've strayed away. Okay? They're not taught who they are. Okay? They're not taught the name. You know, they have no reference into correcting themselves. All they're taught is to go to church. And the church just tells them, pray to prosper. Pray to make it in this world. Instead of, how can I serve the Lord correctly? What is my reference in serving the Lord? How can I serve the Lord to the best of my ability? You know, these pastors are telling them, just pray about it. Come to my church. What about the law, statutes, and commandments? Because I feel like if a lot of brothers knew about the law, statutes, and commandments in the streets, they would refer to it. But that was intentional by our enemies. Okay? Because they made a confederacy against us. They made a confederacy. They made confederacy amongst themselves to make war with us. Okay? To create unrighteous decrees, to write unrighteous decrees. Okay? But that's our fault. We went off, and it's judgment from the Lord. You know, and being on this side, being on this captivity is a learning experience. This is what happens when you disobey the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Okay? He hath set him on fire round about, yet he knew not. It burned him, yet he laid it not to heart. Okay? A lot of these brothers out there, they're stressing, smoking cigarettes, doing drugs, not knowing why these things are happening to them. They thinking that this is how life is supposed to be, especially the younger ones. You know, because of the culture that's been created for them. This jail culture. And when they get to jail, they figure out, yo, this is not it. But for a lot of those brothers, they feel like it's too late. You know, they have no guide. You know. I just wanted to get that off my chest because that was on my mind all week. Yeah. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakah, Quadash. I'd like to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. I'd like to say salutations. I'd like to give salutations to the Akim, preaching the gospel across the four corners of the earth, prophesying in truth and sincerity. Shalom, Akim.